Header Footer Gallery and this podcast are part of the New Media Caucus, an international nonprofit association formed to promote the development and understanding of new media art. We represent and serve artists, designers, practitioners, historians, theorists, educators, students, and scholars. Recognizing new media art to be inherently interdisciplinary, multimodal, and evolving, we support and advance a wide range of inquiry to catalyze further evolution in the field. The New Media Caucus is committed to extending and sustaining the diversity of our community, board, and membership, to promote an environment of equality, inclusion, and respect for difference. We prioritize inclusion as an ongoing collaborative process of growth that we continually address, both within the caucus and in our field.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of Header Footer Gallery Presents. This time it's going to be a little bit different. First of all, an apology for our delayed release schedule. There's been some personal issues that both Constanza and I have been dealing with, not between each other, just our lives have had some situations happen. And so we kind of have been a little bit late in developing the episodes. So apologies for that. Hopefully we will pick up now, but unfortunately on my side, I cannot promise that for now. Apparently Constanza is going to do the next one in like a single episode for her, reporting about her research and all these things, kind of like what I've done before. So we're going to see where that goes, but we won't stop transmitting. We just are shifting things a little bit. All right. So how about we move on to the actual show? So for today's episode, I figured that after more than 3 years working at Header Footer Gallery and as a curator and also doing the podcast, that I thought maybe people would like to know a little bit more about what we do here in the gallery, how I do it, and all the crazy stuff that happens in the background, right? So for me to do that, I'm going to talk to you, first of all, about the gallery, like how we changed a little bit. The new website is done in Kirby, which I'm not an expert on, but I know enough to get our shows up. But for example, when we click here, you see the exhibition, and then you can find somewhere here the archive for us. But also, you can also find us here in the initiatives, and then you can click on View Initiative, and this is the one before, and then the current one. Okay, so in order to do all these exhibitions, I'm using a lot of stuff, a lot of technology apps and things like that. I really like open source free software because, well, if you've ever worked with Adobe, you know what a horrible company that can be. But yeah, so instead of using Adobe, instead of trying to use the big guys, well, I'm trying to decouple from that. And sometimes it's impossible, and you do have to use corporation software because, I mean, it is unfortunately industry standard. But there's some alternatives to do things that you don't have to go and break the bank. And that's a very important thing because of what we do here. Everything is pretty much done because we want to do it, not because we're being paid. Like there's no payment for us. So one of the things that I do is try to find alternatives that's not going to force me or anyone that's working with us into making an expense, right? So our biggest expenses so far has been the microphone, one for Constanza, one for me, our little pop screens here that you can see, the new high definition cameras, and the headphones. Pretty much that's as much, but that was we got that through part of donations, which, you know, you can make your donations to New Media Caucus, and that money goes towards supporting the running of the organization, as well as the scholarships that we give away. You can also join, and your fee goes towards that as well, which I encourage you to do if you kind of like what we're doing. Anyhow, so enough ads. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is how I make my exhibitions, right? Because there's a lot of things. So obviously the ideation part, that's very simple. If we go to my Instagram, for example, you can see like all the exhibitions that I've been doing, um, all the podcasts that we're doing, talks that we had. By the way, this is Olia Lialina. If you're like a new media like enthusiast, you have to know who she is. And pretty much, well, visits to museums, things like that. But what I'm getting at is Instagram is a really good tool. Yeah, it is owned by Google, Facebook, which is not ideal, but it's one way of reaching people because Facebook is the same company, but it's worse. I really don't get any engagement there. So if you're trying to promote your things, I think this is one of the best options that we have. Also, because other organizations are doing it, so you can create collaboration posts. Also, yes, that is an important thing. When you're working with people in on Instagram and they have an account and you have an account, don't just tag them, ask them to be collaborators because then the same post counts for both of you and it reaches both or everybody's audience. So that is one of the biggest tips that I can give you in terms of reach people, right? But the other more important thing, and it's something that sometimes I'm bad at, is the reels. So, for example, right now we have the Sound Artist Wanted. We don't even have a name for the exhibition. I'm gonna wait to see what the entries are, and then I'll decide. But what I was getting at is reels are really, really useful. I don't fully understand why, but they get much better traction than just regular posts. So if you can do that, add like some thingy, some like animation, and like put your post, even if you made your post, create a reel. And then when I like every so often, trigger it again. So what I should probably do is create like a podcast reel to invite people to join us, listen, like and subscribe and all that stuff, because that would make for a better engagement, right? So that's in terms of marketing. I think this is one of the most important. Blue Sky is also really good. Threads is like, but you can use it as well. I mean, you're not losing much. It's already connected to Instagram. So you will share almost automatically if you set it up as that. And then obviously have your webpage if you can. That is one expense that if you're new media, whether as an educator, an artist, or something, you should always have a webpage. And that is one of those expenses that is part of being a professional and you cannot skip that. So get your own, use it, and then exploit that. Also, one thing that I really like is Linktree. I forgot to open this link, but we're gonna jump there. Linktree is a super useful tool. For example, mine has this donation thing. You can close it. You cannot have that if you don't want. Um, but basically, what it does is it gives you this little thing. Obviously, you can pay, but the free option is pretty good. And here you can click and you can add links to your things. For example, we have our episode 9, season 3. So this one is 10. When I upload it, it'll appear here. So that makes it super handy, right? Um, and then I have my book. Well, it's not just my book, but like the book that I co-edited and authored. Then there's options for getting in touch with me. I don't know what's happening here. Okay, yeah, so you have my phone number if you want to text me. There's like a few things that you can do. I could put less or more if I wanted. My webpage, which we'll see in a second, the Header Footer Presents, which is again the podcast, the old one, but I mean, I don't know why it's not letting me erase it. My manual, which is another book, the gallery I've shown you, and a very old version of my CV, which reminds me I should update it. But this is very handy. It's free. You can set up. You can set up the colors. You can do more if you want it, but it's gonna cost you. But even this is good, and you can generate a little QR code. It's not this one, but you can generate a QR code and you can put it like on your phone screen, which is something that I do, but it's not going to show if I do it because of the green screen. But I put it on my phone, and when I'm with people or in conference, I just go, "Hey, you can just scan this, and you have my information if you want to get in touch." And it's flashy. You can like decorate it as you want and everything. So it makes for a really good PR tool. Okay. But yeah, so this can consolidate everything you're doing and make it so much better. Then we have alternative tools that I've used. I'm going to skip this one till the end. I'm going to put it here. Okay. So, for example, one of the first exhibitions that I made was with Twine. Twine is a tool for like non-linear stories. It's mostly used by game enthusiasts to create those kind of like text adventures that we used to play back in the 80s and 90s. It's a very powerful software. If you know what to do with it, you can create some amazing stuff, right? And so one of the things that I did is try to find platforms that were not traditional, that were free or cheap, so we could create something different. And that's part of the experimentation with the gallery. It was not just about the gallery showing the artwork of others, which is the most important thing, but also, in a way, testing my theories on curation. And I've learned a lot by doing this. I now know what things work, what things don't work, which things are well received, which ones are not, what looks cool, but it's not great, and what looks but it's really good, right? And so, for example, Twine, if I was a more talented coder, I could do some amazing things with it. And just go to twinery.org, really, and just look at what people have done, and you can try and do your own. I think you would learn a lot. So this is one tool that I really like. It's also really good if you're teaching students. It's good for teaching them about coding logic. It's really good for teaching them how to do a variety of coding things, storytelling, video game design, user interfaces. There's a lot that you can learn, and it's you can even use it in your browser. Like, so they don't even have to download anything. So this runs on almost like a Chromebook, and it's very simple. You just create a thing. You do create. Although I do recommend you use the downloadable version because it's a little bit less iffy in terms of how it donates. But you create like these nodes, and you can create stories that loop upon themselves, or they have counters. So as long as that counter is counting, you keep getting the same thing until something else happens. So really good tool. I highly recommend it if you want to play and learn a little bit. All right. So that's one of the things. But I also use this thing, Common Garden. Common Garden is this is the one we used actually for last year's award shows. And it's a very simple but very cool tool. And all you do is you create a garden, but you can see me and people. This is networked, so you can see other people. I'm just doing something, enter show, whatever. I agree to the privacy statement. Yeah, there we go. So it's just a space like this, and you can move through it, and you can have like leave a message, like if it's a graffiti wall, but you can also go into create and just create something. Let's see if it lets me use this name that's there. Oh, we have to create an email. Okay, I'm not gonna do this right now. But basically, you create the thing and you can import images, videos, audio, all kinds of things. It's really, really cool of a tool. Then we have New York City. This is like the most popular one that I've used. You've seen this also in exhibitions by some of our guest curators, like Bowie Kim used New York City in a really cool, innovative way. I know that some of your computers caught on fire for that one. I'm sorry. Um, I didn't realize it because my computer could run it, but some people were like, "Oh, this is a slideshow," and it was just and the nature of using so many assets. But it made for a really visually stunning exhibition. Um, this one is also the one I use for my internet. One of the cool things it has is that you're not bound to the laws of physics, and that's something that I think exhibitions, virtual exhibitions, digital exhibitions, however you want to call them, um, lack. And it's this break from tradition. Like, a lot of them insist on looking like traditional galleries, and you don't have to. You can be a sphere. You can be a triangle. You can be like just things floating in the air, like in my internet. It can be very linear. It can be very open-ended. It can be in so many ways. And the other thing is there's no walls. they have a Discord, and I got a chance to talk to some of the developers. And one of the things they said is that things with collision really confuse people that don't have um, video game experience. And so when you create something and they go through it, they can just turn around and look at it from the back. And that, like, for me, looked like a bug, but it's actually a feature. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Um, because it makes the experience easier for people who are not as fluent with video game cameras, which is something I figured out just like 3 days ago. I was meeting with someone who is a very cool artist, and I'm not going to say names because they're going to know who I'm talking about, but nobody else is going to know. Um, they're really cool. They're really talented. They've done things all over the world. They actually have participated in Header Footer as artists, but they cannot operate a video game controller camera setup fluently. Like they know how to do it, but they struggle to aim, for example. And so imagine someone who's not our age, but older, right? Or someone who just simply has no experience in this. Having no walls, no physical obstacles or physical makes for a better setup for the people who we're designing for, because this should be for everyone, not just for me, right? But anyhow, going back to New York City, super flexible, super cool, allows sound, some interesting visuals. You can create your own assets, like you can see in this one, and put them into the thing. I will talk about that in a bit. But you can also just download things from things like Sketchfab, etc. And if you ever want to show your work to someone, I highly recommend you use this tool. It's super, super cool. And it lets you even be findable, as you can see. Like, even if I don't have anything else, they have this. Oh, and if you've seen our exhibitions, you know that this has like an exhibition, like a 3D version, but it also has like a more readable, machine readable thing. And that's important because not everybody can deal with this. Like I was saying, it also causes motion sickness. But if you have another type of disability, uh, screen readers can use the this version and just be able to show you the exhibition that you're wanting to look at. So very, very, very helpful, very powerful for software that runs off your screen of your computer on a web browser. I highly recommend this. It's one of my favorite. I will continue to use it. I do want to find other options, but it's not always possible. And one of my goals has been to use Unreal Engine 5. Well, Unreal Engine in general. So, Unreal Engine, super ridiculously powerful. Look at this. This is rendered in the game. Like, this is not real time, obviously. This was released when Unreal Engine 5 came out, and it's supposed to be like a link with the latest Matrix movie, right? So it's become super powerful, but you don't have to do things like this. You don't have to spend that much time. Like you can do simpler, still cool things, and you can do amazing things, which leads me to think maybe I should try doing something in the Fortnite editor, which is a simplified version of it. I had not thought about that, but now that I look at it. But yeah, so you can create these incredible detailed places. Every single color is a triangle. This is meant to say, like, look, we can do a lot of graphics. But again, you don't have to, but you can have lighting. So you could create an exhibition space here that's very reactive, that has animation, that has the ability of being VR, that has the ability to be AR, that has the ability to be just a traditional video game, a virtual world. But also, in my opinion, it's easier to use than Unity. But that's me because I specialized in Unreal Engine. Um, the problem with this is that it's very hard to put it on the web. People have to trust you and download the thing. And obviously, that's a big ask. But if you're doing something for a more consistent, reliable space. So, for example, you have a gallery and you want to create something. This is especially for artists. You can create something and just put it in there and it will run on a computer and people can access it, and you'll have super high quality things if you wanted to have those qualities, or it can look like very retro. There's so many possibilities for you to have. So Unreal Engine, honestly, you should be playing with it. It has an insane amount of flexibility. Um, there's a free library that you can use, so you don't have to be designing all of these things if it's not your thing. So that's the assets, right? But you can also develop. Apparently, you can develop them in the spot. That I did not know, but this is very powerful. You can also deal with audio that's being generated as you're using it. There's sample projects for you to learn how to use it. This is the Matrix ones I was talking about. This one is almost a video game. Runs very slowly, but it works. Um, and so, for example, I'm going to show you something real quick. If you have a PlayStation 5 or a PC, you can always download Kid Amnesia. Kid Amnesia, it's an exhibition that was created for Radiohead. It was supposed to be a physical exhibition in the VNA, but the pandemic hit and then they couldn't do the thing. So instead, what happened is, anyways, so you can go to the kidamnesia.com, and this is a map of the virtual world and you can move through it. You can download the exhibition, like I said, on the Epic Game Store on your PlayStation 5 or a Mac. Um, and look at it. It's one of the most interesting exhibitions I've ever been into. It doesn't look like an exhibition. It doesn't care about the rules of physics. It cares about creating an amazing experience. And if you have the budget, if you have the skills, either or both, I highly recommend that you experiment with this. Yeah, I plan on doing it eventually, but I don't know. But you can also do simpler things like just creating your own assets, right? Especially as an artist, I highly recommend that you use Blender. Oh God, they're coming to 5. No. Okay. So I just switched to 4.5 and it was already a challenge because no tutorial is really great. But yeah, so you can absolutely use Blender. Blender is completely free. Unreal Engine is as well. Um, Unreal Engine until you make like $3 million. Before that, you don't have to pay them anything. But yeah, so Blender, it's about making 3D, but you can also do illustration. You can do. Let me go to features. Yeah, so you can do rendering, which is like the 3D thing. You can model, so you can make things and then put them in worlds and then create these very cool looking things. You can also do a sculpting. You can send it to 3D printing, which is something I've done. You can do animation. So you have all these assets and you create like movies. Um, then you can be a story artist. They can do 3D, 2D, etc. You can add VFX to film, which I don't know how to do yet, but yeah. You can simulate things, so that means that you can have physics that act like they should. Has like an integration with a lot of things like Alembic, Collada, etc. You can do video editing. I wouldn't recommend it fully, but it can be done. And you can also do scripting with Python, with AP, with a lot of things like also C++. And the interface is all right. You can just shape it to whatever you like. It's actually pretty cool. And it has everything included in itself. So there's the manuals, there's the support, there's the people you can talk to, there's channels online, there's an incredible amount of resources for this. Um, I do have one complaint with the community, and it's that everybody's like, "Oh, you want to learn how to do a very specific thing. This is how you do it. 1,000 instructions. They do it. They teach you how to do it. You can learn and do it, but they don't tell you what specifically the tools they're using are used for. They're just telling you to use it to do that very specific thing. That's my one complaint with the community is that I haven't found, and I've been looking, I haven't found something that teaches you how to use these things, right? But that's me nitpicking. Really, really just go here, download Blender, and you're done. Go, play, be free. You can find the tutorials, you can find the documentation. There's a fully explained user manual. The problem, it's very developer-like, and that's again the thing. I'm not completely super happy with that because you go into something, let's say physics, and we go introduction, and they just tell you very basic information, and then the properties, what's the surface response? Okay, so there's friction sense and bounciness, but what can I achieve with it? Like, yeah, that's my problem with it. Again, nitpicky, it's free. uh, but yeah, so you can use that. I'm gonna skip real quick to Unity because it's very famous. I don't completely like Unity because of some things that happened like last year with some see. So Unity Pro, obviously, it's a little bit more pro, but this used to not be a thing. And the new CEO is really into monetizing Unity, which is ironic because Unreal Engine is owned by Epic, which is an even bigger, more uh powerful corporation, and somehow they're being the least greedy of the two. But you can still download Unity. And you can do almost the same things you can do on Unreal Engine. It's basically the direct competitor. You can use either one. A lot of people, artists, like Unity. I don't, but whatever. That's not my thing to explain. But yeah, so you can just get the regular Unity engine. Don't worry about the pro one unless you're like super pro. Uh, but yeah, so you create your things, graphics, visuals, scripting, performance, blah blah blah. So why I'm showing you this is because you can create exhibitions here, but you can also, if you're an artist, this is a really cool tool to do a lot of things. And going back to exhibitions and tying everything here, specifically Unity and Blender, is that you can use VR chat. This is what I want to do. The problem with VR chat when I'm talking about exhibitions is that everybody that wants to use it has to have an account. And not a lot of people like that. They don't like doing that. So it limits my my curatorial processes a little bit. The other issue I have, and it's again a personal one, this is a failing of mine, is you have to use Unity to create the worlds that you use in VR chat. Lately, there's been like a push to create more financial incentives for you to pay for avatars, which is like the characters that you can look at, for getting certain features like a camera that floats around without you having to be the one that's moving. That's called it behaves like a drone, right? Like a drone camera, but it's still pretty much free to enjoy. So it's a pretty interesting. The better you are at coding, the better you will be at doing this. And it's available in pretty much anything. You can play it on your computer, you can play it on your VR headset, you can play it on the Meta one, you can play it in anything that can connect to Steam VR. You can use Pico, you can use Google Play because it's also available on cell phones. So you can download it and play it on your cell phone, and you don't need VR anymore. Also, actually, you can play it on your computer without VR. You can just play it as a regular video game. It's a bit more limited, it's not as cool, but I have found some really cool things in here. So you can create things, there's also documentation, etc. But one of the things that I have is this. And I'm not paid, by the way. VR Dance Academy is just the dance academy for some artist, one artist, Dust Bunny, who I've met and interviewed. Well, we met online, but I've interviewed her. She's teaches dancing in VR. So you join online and she'll teach you dance moves. They have shows, they have things. But Dust Bunny, who's this person, also does performances on her own where she does um, really cool things like having an avatar that copies her movements, but the stage in the VR is not the same size as the stage in her place. So she has to do all these physical feats to create a fully formed performance online. And it's really cool what she's doing. You can also go on YouTube and find her work. So actually, we can just click here. And I am now the only person. Hold on. We're gonna go to her page. Yeah, there we go. Then we go to the videos, And for example, she has these types of performances that she does. Um, I'm gonna lower the volume. I don't want to get copyright claimed or something. Um, but yeah, so these are dances that she choreographs, the signs and everything. You can see like all the experimentation. She's using full body tracking. Um, and also those full body tracking things are done with like DIY setups that she buys. It's not the cheapest, but if you're interested in VR dancing, it's really cool. But you can also dance with just a regular setup. But going back, like you can see like the proper artistic thing that's happening. And the world that she's in, is custom created in Unity using the Blender to create the assets. I mean like the trees and things like that, or the buildings. So what I'm trying to tell you is that there's all these tools that you can use to create either artistic performances, artistic ideas, but also create really, really cool um exhibitions, because I could just load this and create an exhibition, create a space where I want to put the artwork of the people that I want to present, and create a crazy, crazy, crazy thing. Now I'm looking. This is a little bit. I don't like what's showing on the right side, but whatever. Um, but yeah, so that's the one I also wanted to show you is VR chat, which is something I'm trying to create an exhibition. I really do need VR friendly art to put in there. And then I don't mean that in a censorship way, but more like things that can go into these things. Um, so we look at this, but also you may remember that I created a website for the last exhibition, the one before, the one currently we have, like it's the award show. So for that one, I use this software, which is Sublime Text, really powerful text editor. You can see, you can connect it to your GitHub, and you can create like recreate your structure, and then you don't have issues of where do I put this? How do I do this? Um, but it also works on different things, right? Like you don't have to use it for that. Um, you can have this really reactive syntax thing, so you know where your code is going and where the mistakes are happening, and you have the keywords and you have all these things. It's really, really powerful. You can see like a little bit in the demo here. And so Sublime, highly recommended if you're into coding or you need a text editor with a little bit more oomph, right? The version is free, but they expect you to pay eventually. It's not cheap, but you can use the free version for as long as you want. So you can see, no, this is download. Buy. Here we go. So as you can see, the license, they don't give you the price. Yeah, $99. Of course, it's a one payment, so you have that version, I believe, forever. Yeah, once off purchase and come with 3 years of updates. After 3 years, you will need a new one. That's fair. I think this is better than subscription services. Always avoid subscription services if you can. So yeah, that's one. Then we're gonna look at OBS. I have used OBS to do parts of the podcast from time to time. The problem is it really requires a lot of computing power, and my computer cannot handle it. But OBS, if you're trying to do any form of streaming, whether it's a podcast or maybe you're even having an event, it's the best software for those things. Especially if you're doing live streaming, you can send to things like you see YouTube, Twitch, etc. Um, but it's super powerful. It's super free. You have control over everything. You can create your layouts. If I get a more powerful computer eventually, you will probably see like header footer presents, and then we'll have like pop-ups and things like that. And maybe when someone comments something, we'll bring it up on screen. And it lets you pull feeds and pull out a inside of the thing controllable browser, so I don't have to be switching things. But obviously, you need two computers, want to send a video, and well, you can do it the other way, but you have a powerful computer. Um, Really cool software for doing anything that's live video related. If you really want to have your work go up one tier, OBS is what I would use. Actually, and this is something that I've been meaning to do, but again, so when we have the video from Zoom, because that's how we generally record, you could instead have the feeds recorded from different computers being sent to these things, and then this fools Zoom into thinking that it's the camera. And so I would have so much more control over what I'm displaying, how it's displayed, when it comes in, when it comes out. I could have different layouts where when we're talking, would switch and we're just talking and you can see us together, even though we're not in the same room. A lot of really cool things, but yeah, it's it's a little bit extra level of production, and we would need someone else to help us. And like nothing is free. And probably would need a dash, which is like, for example, these things. Here it is. These things. And these ones you can set up scenes and things, and you can just jump in between them. You can control audio and an infinity of things, and it would make production of this podcast even better. But that's the next step if we take off like even more than we're right now. Right now we're at a point where we're comfortable with what we're providing. Obviously, would love to be a multicam in person, having like guests every 2 weeks and things like that. But again, we're not there yet. Hopefully, we will. So that's this one, OBS, which again, highly recommend you play around with this. That's the other thing. Play with these softwares. Don't feel like you have to know how to use them from the beginning. A lot of times breaking them creates cool, interesting things, and you should try. Um, then we have DaVinci Resolve. This thing is saving my life sometimes because it's become a super powerful tool. It's a little bit complex to use, but it's so powerful. This is video editing at the movie level, like Hollywood level editing. Supposedly it's used to edit things like Kong and Planet of the Apes and all these things. Um, I'm assuming they do because they wouldn't associate another way. But yeah, so you can do edit, you can fix your colors, you can do special effects, tracking. I've used it to do academic um, videos for example, for an archaeology project I was helping, and it's super powerful and really cool. And if you know what you're doing, eventually you would become like a super editor. This is obviously for like big studios. Um, but yeah, you have all the solutions for post production. You have like checking your media. You can cut it. You can edit it. You can do Fusion is generally special effects. Color, which is just it has one of the best color correction things. It is free. Some features are paid, so you have to buy if you want more than the very basic things. But then yeah, you also have audio and deliver, which is literally just set create the thing that you want to the file. And it's really cool how it handles all of these things. So yeah, really powerful tool. I've used it for some of the editing. I don't use it on the Mac because I have iMovie and it's enough, but I'm starting to think I should switch to DaVinci. It's more compact, it's friendlier with my file formats. It's just the effort of learning the whole thing again, and that's right now it's not where I'm at. But I probably will switch eventually to this one, especially we get like a little bit more budget. I will be able to switch to this one, and then we can have overlays and all these things. And obviously, we need more time. But yeah, so it's really cool, free. If you have a PC, I think it's the best option that you have that's not paid like uh any of those Adobe ones. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, so really powerful software. Highly recommended for video editing. Then we have Polycam. Polycam, it's a new toy for me. Okay, so what this thing does, it's a 3D scanner, and you use your phone and you scan the thing, and it gives you a 3D model. And I've used this in two ways. As an exhibition designer to recreate spaces like that. See that? So what I would do is when I'm not physically at the site, I can have exact measurements of things. So I can see, oh, how big is this wall? Where can I put this? Is this visible from here? I can pull it into, um, for example, Unreal Engine, or I can put it in Blender, and then I can add things or modify things. So I can do two things. I can create an exhibition using a real space without having to go through insane amount of detail. Or I also can create a space and use the scans of the objects and put them into the thing. So it has really powerful options. The free version only allows you to scan like 5 times. Again, very limited file formats. If you pay, which this one is subscription based, unfortunately, but if you pay, you have access to an insane amount of tools. Highly recommend that you download it once at least and play with it. Scan something, create a space, download some things. People download things as well because they make them available, and you can then put it into Blender and modify it and fix it. One tip that I can give you is, hi, Rene of the future here. I made a mistake. I'm going to say devastate, and I actually meant decimate. So please bear with me. I'm sorry. That you should devastate your models. But devastating a model means reducing the number of triangles, because I made that mistake. I did not devastate a model that I was using for an animation, and holy, it was so slow. It was murdering my computer. And once I devastated the things, it was like, oh yeah, no problem. I was removing like so many triangles that you couldn't even see. But yeah, so quick tip: when you use Polycam, or actually when you download anything, just devastate the model a little bit. There's tutorials on that. Don't worry about it. But yeah, so Polycam really useful for exhibition design, especially if you're not on site. You can ask someone, hey, download this thing, go and scan the entire gallery space and send it to me. And then you can just send me the link, and then you can download it, look at it, do measurements. Actually, ask them to do the accurate measurements, just so you know. What I do, or I would do, is put a ruler in one corner of a room and just set the scale. Go to set the scale and just say this is 30 centimeters or 12 inches, depending on what measuring system you're using. But yeah, and that would make it so now whenever I want to measure something, I just do that, like you see in the video there, and I would know exactly where things are. So really cool thing if you can use it. We used this at the Ammerman Center when I did that curation, because I wasn't there physically at the beginning because I was in Mexico. They sent me the scan, and that allowed me to pre-plan and kind of be familiar with the space as I began my curatorial ideas. So yeah, this is also one of the cool toys that I use, and I highly recommend you use. And then this one is nothing to do. This is Strudel. It's not the cake. It's a software for live coding music. It's become really popular in like the last few weeks. I had a lot of fun playing with it, and I highly recommend that you try it. It's so for example, if I click, it just does this. It's playing the music that's here. And I can change beats. I can change the number of things that it's doing. I can do modifications. And there's, for example, an interactive tutorial that shows you how it works. So, for example, you can set your chords. You can tell them like what it's going to sound like: piano, an acoustic bass. Now we have the beats. You can see the rim. So super duper cool. And if you're really good, let me stop this thing. If you're really, really good with it, you can actually be a DJ in real time, which is, to me, this kind of crazy stuff is like super fun and super cool. So, what I was trying to do today, and what I wanted to do, is encourage you all to experiment, to see how the gallery tries to innovate, right? What we want is to create new crazy ideas. And one of the things is trying to find innovative ways of using software and breaking it and not being bound by what the tutorial tells you. And just break things and try and see what happens. And maybe you'll have fun. Maybe you'll create something. And in the case of the exhibitions, well, it does make the exhibition development a little bit longer. I remember when I was trying to use Mozilla Hubs, and I was in communication with the developers because we could not embed a YouTube video. And it turned out that they basically had given up. And like 3 weeks after I was started working on Mozilla Hubs, they announced that they stopped support for it and took it down. So that set us back a lot. And that's when I discovered New York City. And so it opened up a new space of possibility and new things, new ideas, um, which eventually led to one of the best exhibitions I made with that one. So yeah, break the rules, learn how to cheat. For example, New York City has these ideas of how things should be used, but you don't have to use them as they say. For example, there's this tool that lets you make a upload an image. Normally would be flat, but you can turn it into a cube. Okay, that's cool. So I now I have a cube, but guess what? You can also animate it and tell it to rotate. So okay, well, what happens with that? Well, what about if I took that square, that cube that I generated from this one image, and instead what I did was I told it to be bigger than the exhibition space. So now instead of having a little rotating cube, I had a stage, like this weird cube, well, multi-angular space that was rotating around the viewer. And then what if instead of using an image, can I use a video? Turns out I could. And so by not being bound to the idea that objects should be smaller than me, not being static and all these other things, I created something cooler. And you can see that actually in the My Internet version exhibition, but also in I can't remember which show it was, but there's this gigantic cube, and it's showing the Kaaba, which is the really important religious site for Muslims, where they have to do their pilgrimage at least once in their life and go and pray there. And so this piece was about that, and so I created this gigantic cube where you're supposed to go in and then you become enveloped by the sounds of the work, but also the visuals. And it was really, really fun. And it was completely an accident. It was just because I was playing with the thing. And it's like, what if I do this? And so again, maybe somehow I'll find a way to curate something in Strudel. I don't know. I can also think of using things like Minecraft, like I mentioned, Fortnite, and why not? One of the things that we also have to understand as creators of culture, and I think this is not talked enough because I think we like to believe that we exist outside of entertainment needs. We like to believe that museums, art, culture exist as this thing that's separate from culture, from popular culture. So, what do I mean by that? Well, think about your workday. You wake up in the morning, you eat, you clean yourself, you prepare yourself, you dress yourself, then you drive to work, or you take a train, or you walk, or whatever, and then you get to the office and you do your maybe 8 hours of work, ideally less. Um, and then you get on your car, on your train, on your bike, whatever you do, and you get back home. And then you have about supposedly 8 hours for yourself, right? And so, what do you do in those 8 hours? Are you gonna use that time to cook? Are you gonna use that time to read? Are you gonna use that time to watch the Dodgers game? Are you gonna play Call of Duty? Right? And so then you go to sleep and you have to sleep for at least, like, I mean, if you're insane like me, 5 hours, but like there's people who need 8. Uh, I don't know what that is like. But yeah, so those people, like, you sleep and then you wake up and you repeat that, then Saturday or Sunday, and then you have to clean the house or maybe go shopping for stuff that you need around the house, do some chores. And then you will choose, do I want to hang out with friends? Do I want to go grab a drink? Do I want to go to a bar? Do I want to go to a concert, a library, whatever? What you will notice is there's no dedicated art moment, right? In how we work, we choose between seeing our friends, watching the football game, playing video games, scrolling through TikTok for the whole night, and going to a museum or going to an exhibition or going to an opera concert or whatever. There's no special space in our day-to-day life for culture. And so as people in the culture industry, we have to accept that and realize that we're competing with Taylor Swift and with Manchester United and with, I don't know, Bad Bunny or whatever. We are not special. And so as curators, especially, I'm talking to curators in particular, for the love of God, make an effort to make it interesting to everyone. Because right now, there's some really amazing exhibitions. I'm not going to pretend there's not. I mean, Yayoi Kusama in Mexico, the museum was open 24/7 because so many people wanted to watch it. But it was a very specific artist who has a very strong visual appeal that does not require you to have a PhD in art history to appreciate it. Not that that's bad, just saying it's different. But not every exhibition is the Yayoi Kusama in Mexico City, right? We have to make it worth people's time. And yes, your exhibition could be about kettles, or it can be about audio art, or it can be about, I don't know, early Renaissance. Whatever it is, make it interesting, make it worth people's time. And the last thing you should do is label, name, dimensions. That's it. Congratulations. What did you learn? What did you get from this? A good exhibition should teach you something. Also, a good exhibition should not be noticeable. And I know that sounds contradictory, but everything we do in an exhibition is in the service of the objects, not the other way around. So, what I'm saying is, if you hear someone say, "Oh, we went to this exhibition, and did you notice how the Picassos were like opposite this thing, and like you could see how similar these things were, and how the inspirations." And then the text taught me that, yeah, these masks were in an exhibition when Picasso was in Paris, and he saw them, and that's like part of the inspiration. And then there was this other woman artist who also had similar work, and he also saw it, and at the time it wasn't recognized, but now we're learning more about that. That's a good exhibition. Whereas if someone tells you, "Oh my god, did you see the exhibition?" and then when you walk in and it looks so big and it's so cool, and I remember when you get in and the lighting and the design and the patterns on the floor, that's not a good exhibition, because that's an exhibition that's prioritizing itself over the work, right? So we have to be aware when we create our exhibitions that people get something out of it, but also to not make the mistake of making the exhibition its own thing, right? Separate from the work. It has to be in service of the work. In any case, that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about this time. It's a little bit more freeform. It's not so, oh, we're going to talk about these artists and about this complex concept, or all these weird little things that Connie, Constanza, and I are thinking about. It's more about, well, this is how I do it. I wanted you to see a little bit behind the scenes, but also, learn something and hopefully inspire you to do things, do exhibitions. Maybe contact me. We can have a show. I'm always open, as you can tell. That's a thing that I keep repeating and telling everyone regarding the gallery. You can come to me, and if you have a strong enough concept, and if you have something that aligns with our values of inclusion, of wanting to platform people who don't usually have a platform, just get in touch with me and tell me, hey, I want to do this exhibition. And if you don't know how to curate, I will help you. But also, if you're an artist and you want your work shown, approach me as well. You don't have to wait for me to make an open call. You can always just send me an idea. Hey, dude, I have this. I made this. I want to show this. How can we do this? Can we make it happen? There's always a place for you at Header Footer Gallery. And even the podcast, if you want to talk about something in the podcast, if you want to talk about a concept of your research, if you want to invite people to something, you can also send me a clip and say, hey, I want to put this in the gallery podcast. I want to invite people to my show. I want to invite people to participate in this curatorial project that I have, or I did this really cool thing, or whatever. Please give me a call. Send me a message. You have my email in the gallery. It's rene.cepeda@newmediacaucus.org. Let me check real quick. Yeah. Can't see it here. But yeah, it's Rene Cepeda. Rene.cepeda and then newmediacaucus.org. And you can reach me and send me a message, and we can talk about ideas, plans, things. And so I want to make, and that's the thing for the next 3 years. I want to make this a gallery about everybody else. I've had my time showing. I will still do exhibitions. I want to clarify that. I will do exhibitions, but I want to open it even more to others. I want this to be a place for all of us, right? And again, if you're in Kenya, if you're in Singapore, if you're in, I don't know, Barranquillas, if you're in, I don't know, anywhere in the world, you don't have to be American, you don't have to be in the West. Reach out and we can show your work. Whether it's curatorial or artistic, there's a space for you. With that said, I want to thank everyone for listening. Sorry for this unorthodox show. We will try and get back to a regular, more structured programming soon. In any case, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. The more people that we get into this, the more visibility you will get, the more visibility the New Media Caucus gets, and that's only good for everyone in the field. So with that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.